friends, it's Teresa and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing an arc I had received from Macmillan's Children, I want to say. And that is 18 Roses by Shannon CF Rogers. This book is out now. It came out July 31st, I believe. I'm a little behind on my reviews. But let's just kind of hop in the video. I do have some things to say. They're not bad things, but let's just get into it. If you like these kind of reviews, let me know in the comments down below, or you can hit like, subscribe. Starting off with the synopsis of this book, this is a YA coming-of-age novel following young Lucia, or Luz, who is turning 18 years old this year. Now, she is very much not the kind of girl that you would think of in this day and age. She's still very much likes her baggy jeans. She likes her sweats. She likes being like kind of like in the back of the room, not making a ton of noise, not making really anything. And her only close friend is Esme, and up until this point, she thought she and Esme were kind of on the same page with a lot of things. She thought that she and Esme were like two peas in the same pod. That is until her mom surprises Luz with a debut, which is something that happens to a young Filipino girl when she turns 18. You have a debut. It's spelled like the word debut, but it's pronounced debut. Debut. I feel like I'm Americanizing it. It's pronounced debut. Debut. My brain's struggling with Tagalog right now. It's pronounced debut, which basically presents her to society as a young woman who is now able to like basically date and be a functioning member of society. Luz does not want that. She just wants to have an 18-year-old, a party, if that, and just chill out. But she finds out that Esme is kind of wanting to branch out of their friendship, out of their old habits that they have had for the past few years, and which ends up in them not talking. Now, Luz doesn't know what to do about this, but she has a debut to plan that she is only planning because her mom wants her to plan it. And to boot, she also is having to figure out what to do with the 18 roses. Now, in a debut, you have 18 roses to give out, and these 18 roses are basically like 18 people in your life, 18 friends that would give you a rose to help you come out into society, and they like tell you something that they really enjoy about themselves, about you, not about themselves. Now, kind of stuck with trying to figure out how to branch out at the mere age of 18, she is having to get herself out of her comfort zone to really get to meet people and become friends with people, even people that she didn't really think she'd be friends with. Moving on to these trigger warnings. This is a YA contemporary novel, so it's not as like heavy in the trigger warnings, but there are a couple such as racism, which is very minor. It's kind of brought up in the middle-ish, and it's pretty much resolved pretty quickly. Then there is abandonment. It's a big part of the novel, and then there's terminal illness, which is also a very minor thing that kind of it gets glossed over, but it's not the biggest focal point of this book. But I was given this arc by Macmillan Children, so obviously thank you. Kudos to the people who thought of me. Thanks. Sorry I was late. I was really intrigued by this. I haven't read a YA novel focusing on a debut, so I was really interested because it hasn't been a topic I've read yet in YA literature. To boot, I also never had my own debut. I wanted to see exactly the workings of it. I've never gone to one, so it definitely was something that is new to me in many ways than one. So I was very intrigued to see how it was all going to turn out and how I was going to plan out and like the logistics of it all. Moving on to the main focus of this review, starting off with the strongest point I think of this book is the characters. I could really empathize with Luz as a character, being the eldest daughter in a very sticky situation both financially and emotionally with both her parents, being the one to kind of have to like manage that peace almost and manage everyone's emotions. I can understand why the last thing she wants to do is be the center of attention when she's had to do so much background work and she's just so exhausted from having to like make sure her mom's okay, have to play nice with her dad who abandoned them and is now married to a younger Filipino and is pregnant, on top of like just the daily things of being like a teenager and all those hormones and feelings that come with it. She's like definitely very annoyingly introverted. She does not like being the center of attention. She does not like change. She's very much a creature of habit, I think mainly because she has to be. She feels a little on the shyer end and only really has one friend, and she feels like she only has one friend, but I think in reality she's only allowed herself to have the one friend. But other people are very interested in getting to know her and being her friend and just like trying to help her branch out and are there for her, which was a lot. Very eye-opening for someone like me. But overall, there's just a lot of anger and resentment toward or anger and resentment in Luz toward her general situation about like trying to fit in but not really fitting in and not sure how she can stick out in that much, wanting like that nuclear family but knowing she's never gonna get it, and having to like watch over her mom's emotions when finances get too tough, having to like pretend everything's okay when it's not. And I can understand that on such a very close level, that like level of resentment and anger that you can just easily have toward people in the world around you and how that presents itself. So I really related to Luz a little too much, honestly. This is a very character-driven novel as well, so. Even though the side characters, such as like the new friend she makes and her sister, were very much side characters, I love them all the same. I liked that they all were very different from one another. You could really tell who was who. Even with the large amount of people that she ended up meeting, you knew who was who very easily. You knew but the crushes that were going on, who had a crush on who, why she was crushing on that one, who was crushing on her friends. It was like, it felt very much like high school, where everyone was just trying to figure things out and trying to help each other figure things out along the way. I also really enjoyed to see those growing pains between her and Esme. It's like I feel like it's a very natural thing to happen in a friendship. We see it a lot when people like transition from high school to college, or sometimes college to real life. Things don't always line up. You want to branch out and become a better person or a different person, or just experience different things, and the other person's very much like set in their ways. And I really understood that like growing pain situation that was going on there. It's not always that you grow apart, but because you start branching out as different people and things don't always work out, like you guys don't always find yourself back in the middle because of it. I did like that they patched it up in the end, but it felt like a very natural occurrence to happen in this scenario here, for friends to want to grow up or like branch out of their norm, and someone's a little too close and stuck in their ways. Moving on to the writing, I think the writing was pretty concrete here. Luz's voice was a very strong one. It's set in first person. I think you can really sense that she's just a very uncomfortable teenager in her little shell and wants to kind of crack out a little bit, but doesn't really know how. And you can really sense the emotions that are going through her at every given point, whether it's the anxiety of going up on stage, the anxiety of trying to set things up, the sadness and frustration you feel when a friend is just not feeling like a friend anymore, and kind of the confusion you get in familial dynamics, where you're like treated like an adult and you're supposed to act like an adult, but then you're also still a kid and you're expected to be a kid. And it's just a very confusing time for her. I really could feel her emotions throughout the entirety of the novel. It's definitely really easy and flows really well. I didn't have an issue like get like certain wording pulling me out of the scenario, or certain like phrasing making me think like, oh, this kid sounds older than she actually is. She sounded like she was 18 or 17. It wasn't very hard. It wasn't very hard to see who Luz was as a person and see her like age range, because she sounded like she actually was supposed to be this age, which was very, very nice. Like, I understand it in fantasies where, like, you know, people have to grow up a little differently, but, like, I feel like in contemporary, a lot of the times, they try to, like, make a teenager sound more mature than they are, and I'm like, you know what? I just need a teenager to say, duh. Like, that's all I need. Like, they just have to sound like they're supposed to be this age. And I was very thankful that Shannon CF Rogers, oh my goodness, I was very thankful that Shannon CF Rogers' writing helped kind of alleviate some of those struggles there. It made it a lot easier to see that she is just a teenager. She sounds like a teenager. She acts like a teenager. She's pouty like a teenager. Moving on to the themes of this book, the biggest theme, obviously, it's a coming of age novel, and that is self-discovery. We see Luz really struggle to see how she fits, to see how she fit herself in this box that she created, that she thinks she had, or how am I trying to say this? We really struggle to see Luz try to fit herself in this box that she thinks a debutante should look like. She thinks they should be frilly and girly and like pink, and it has to be done in like an event, and it has to be done a certain way, and there has to be statues and glowing sparkles and glitter everywhere. And we get to really see her struggle with that image and try to figure out how she can, like, instead take the box and just like cut it up and make it so that it better suits her needs. Very much like the clothes, you're supposed to be wearing the clothes and the clothes aren't supposed to be wearing you. kind of scenario. She's figuring out like what she likes and what she wants to actually wear in this during the debut, and figuring out like how many roses to give out and all those fun things. We see her really get out of her comfort zone. Again, it's a lot of like her trying to get out of this box she's created for herself, or she thinks she has to fit into, because like this comfort zone's protected her for so long. So why would she step out of it? Why would she try to grow? To her, it's just protected her, so she doesn't really understand or doesn't want to move out of it. I think the theme is very well done. I mean, obviously it's a coming of age novel, so it's kind of a big theme to hit. I can't see you not hitting a coming of age novel without the big theme of self-discovery being in there. However, I will say that I think the theme was dinged a little bit, or like wasn't as strong because of the pacing, which I'll get into right now. So moving on to the pacing, I think the pacing was my biggest issue with this book. I had reached about 82% of this novel. You heard me right, 82%. And I was like, well, nothing's really resolved yet. What is going to exactly happen at the end of this novel? Because I was like, I wasn't even rushing through it. I was genuinely enjoying the book. And then I was like, 82%. I'm like, okay. I'm like, wait. That's less than 20% to be able to wrap up all the subplots that you have going on in here. And because of the pacing, I feel like the ending was a little rushed, and there were a lot of subplots that never really got fleshed out or finished, such as her dad, her crush on this person, and it was like a thing that was brought up a few times in the book. It wasn't like a throwaway, so I was expecting something to develop more out of that crush. And then same thing with the movie theater that she loves going to that she plans to save. Like, obviously it's a slice of life, so you only get really parts of the book that are resolved, and obviously the biggest thing is resolved. Her trying to figure out about this debut, and trying to figure out like how to figure out this roses thing. That part's solved. But I feel like the concept about her dad and the movie theater were such focal points to her character and focal points to why she did a lot of the things that she did, that because it wasn't really wrapped up, it left the reader wanting a lot more. So it left me wanting a lot more, because I just wanted to see how it was going to tie up, but instead it ended like really prettily, which is fine. But I feel like there were a lot of things left unsaid, and it kind of left me feeling empty at the end of it. Moving on to my overall thoughts, I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed the book a lot. It was super quick. It was super fun to read. I love seeing Luz. I love seeing her development as a character. I would just say that the pacing was definitely the biggest problem for me, and I wish that we had gotten a little more pacing, a little more carefully plotted out development, or just had removed some of the bigger plot points. Like, her dad could have just abandoned them, and that would have just been it. That could have literally just been it. We didn't have to go into like how he's now married, or have dinner with them, or now that they're having a brother, and like the complicated things that come with that. I wouldn't say that this book is definitely like gonna be a favorite of 2024 for me. But I will keep an eye out for Shannon CF Rogers' future novels, because I'm very intrigued, because I was really enjoying her character, how she wrote this character. How she wrote this character and her story. But that is it for this review. If you guys enjoyed that, again, let me know in the comments down below. And yeah. If you have any books you want me to review, let me know, and I'll try to do my best to get to them. If you want me to do different kinds of videos, let me know as well. But until next time, stay safe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.